Hello everyone, Meepa here, trying to make your Monday a little better and maybe even something to look forward to. I want to keep this intro really short and brief so I can get into the story. This is a story that I thought of called Live On in 3, and I'm not going to explain it much. I'm just going to start reading, and I hope you all enjoy. It was all very confusing at first. All I remember is sparkles filling my vision as I felt around with my left arm because I wasn't able to move my right. I tried to grab onto things, but I couldn't feel my fingers. Everything felt numb to some extent, softer than I thought it should have been. Everything on the right side of my body felt wet, and in my blurred vision I just saw red in that direction. I tried to call out but couldn't figure out how to move my mouth. I couldn't open it. That's when I realized I couldn't hear anything yet. I wanted to just close my eyes and block everything out, but I couldn't move my eyes either. I had to turn my head to look around, but my head felt heavy and bumped into everything. Slowly, a ringing started in my right ear until it was replaced by sirens from outside whatever closed-in area I was in. I was about to give up and lay my head down, but I saw movement, and it piqued my interest. I tried again to call out, and even though I still couldn't figure out how to move my mouth, I heard a muffled yell over the distant sirens. The big-headed figure turned to me, and in such surprise, they almost fell over. "Is someone there?" a scratchy voice asked, perking up. I called again just like before, and the figure wobbled over to me. When they got close enough, I was able to focus my vision on them, and they felt familiar. They were a rag doll, clearly handmade by someone with not the most experience, but well made anyway. Their head was stylistically unproportionate to their body, so it was a miracle they were able to walk. They were zebra-themed, with stripes on their arms, legs, and body, and a black mane on top of their head. "Well, hello there." The scratchy voice emerged from the zebra doll as its sharp-toothed smile was unmoving. "What do we have here? Zeus said there was another, although you seem to be stuck." They came closer and wrapped their arms around me, clumsily bumping their head into mine. My vision was finally clear, and I was able to see bloodstains on the back of their head. I started to squirm and try to scream, which the doll seemed to find inconvenient. "Oh, calm down. You act as if you aren't just like me. It's new for both of us. Now don't move. Your arm is stuck between these two metal pieces." I gave up and stopped moving as the zebra doll suddenly ripped me away from the metal I was stuck in. I heard a tear as we fell, but I was free. I was finally able to stand up, although not with much ease, and look at myself in a nearby mirror shard. I was shocked by my reflection. I was just like Zebra Doll. I was a rag doll with random features attached. One of my feet was purple, and the other was a different shade of purple, but as a paw. I had a red and a green eye, but the red was much bigger than the green. 3 feathers were attached to the left side of my head, while I had a rabbit ear on the right side, which explained why I could only hear from that side. I had a bird wing and a butterfly wing and a lizard tail. It took me a bit to notice the random red patch on my side because the blood covered half of that body. "Sorry, I was a bit rough, wasn't I? Well, nothing we can do about your arm now." Zebra Doll assumed my shock was from my missing right arm he caused when freeing me. Now that I'd seen myself, I gave up on trying to speak, as I realized my mouth was sewn shut, while Zebra Doll's was nicely sewn on to look like it had sharp teeth. Why do I look so random compared to him? I wondered. "Let's go find Zoo and get out of here. It probably wouldn't be great if we were found here. Come on, Z." Zebra Doll pushed me forward. As he guided me out of what I soon realized was a crashed car, I saw a girl who was bleeding in her spot and wasn't moving. When I saw her, I paused because I recognized her, but Zebra Doll pushed me again and told me to keep going. When I was pushed out of the car, I realized how close and loud the sirens were getting in contrast to the quiet of the night. Then a higher-pitched voice called out above it, You found her! Z! Another ragdoll with fox ears and a tail ran up to me and managed to easily give me a hug despite our head size. When she pulled away, I noticed she had a heart-shaped patch on her chest, although it was difficult to see as it was covered in blood too. Are you alright? The fox doll that Zebra doll had referred to as Zoo gasped when she noticed my missing arm. I noticed that her mouth didn't move when she spoke either, even though it was neatly sewn into a closed smile. I nodded as Zebra doll interrupted. She's fine. You said get her out, so I did. It's not hurting her. Also, talk to me, not her. She can't even speak. Her mouth is sewn shut, so it creates a barrier to her speaking, even though our mouths don't physically move. It's kinda dumb, but there's nothing we can do about it. I put my arm up to my mouth, wondering why my speech was taken away from me. But I didn't have much time to consider the possibilities because Zebra doll started pushing me and Zoo away from the crashed car. Now, we need to get away from here. Let's go. As we ran through the bushes and long grass along the road, I learned a lot from Zebra doll as he talked to Zoo. It was all very confusing, and I still don't understand it all, but at least I had the information. Apparently, that girl I saw in the crashed car was who created us. She made us and loved us. We were kind of like her children, almost. She had brought us everywhere with her. That included this car ride. Her name was Zuri, so she had all our names start with Z too. Zebra doll was named Zeb, Fox doll was Zoo, and apparently I was Z. Zuri had wished we were alive, then we could truly be like her children, even though she was only a teenager. She managed to learn a lot. She discovered an art form almost like that of voodoo dolls. By using a piece of a person, like hair or skin or blood, one could put part of that person's soul into the doll, and it would come to life. She was trying to work on putting some of her soul into us, but it wasn't working. Then the car crash happened, and she had one more chance. The crash was so bad, she lost a lot of blood, but we soaked up a good amount of it, and it was enough to make our connection strong enough for each of us to take 1/3 of her soul. So, in a way, she's still alive. But in us? Zoo asked after Zeb finished. Pretty much, Zeb shrugged as he peeked out of the tall grass. Why don't I remember any of the magic stuff? Zoo questioned. Because those are the memories I was given. You have stuff I don't remember, and so does Z. Zeb sounded disgusted by my name. I tried to get Zeb's attention, but he wouldn't look at me. What is it, Z? Zoo put a hand on my shoulder to show she was listening. I said don't talk to her. Talk to me if you want information, Zeb interrupted. But Z has something to say. Zoo looked at me with her one eye as the other one was closed to make it look like she was winking. Zeb managed to make it look like he rolled his eyes, even though we were unable to make facial expression. I patted Zoo on the shoulder with my good arm, as a thank you, and tried to communicate with her instead. I had a memory I wanted to see if they knew about. I looked down at the heart on Zoo's chest and patted it. Is that part of your message? Zoo asked. I nodded and patted her heart again. Heart? I shook my head and patted it again. Could you use more? I looked around, then at my hand, and saw there was a heart sewn on it. I showed Zoo that heart too. You have a heart too? Is that what you're saying? I shook my head. I may need more than that. I looked around again, at a loss, until I saw a stick on the ground and tried to pick it up. Zoo helped me pick it up and asked, Is the stick part of the message? I shook my head and started writing in the dirt with the stick. It took some time, but eventually I wrote out the word love and hoped Zoo could read it. Love! Oh, I get it! Zoo clapped, even though her stub hands couldn't make sound. What about it, though? I tried writing again, but it was really a challenge with one arm. Eventually, I got an M down. I looked at Zoo, but she didn't get it yet. I managed an A and an R before Zoo asked, "What is this?" I kept going until I wrote out the whole word. Suddenly, Zoo gasped, "Marco! You remember Marco!" I nodded and turned to Zeb, hoping he heard Zoo. "Marco?" Zeb turned to us. "I vaguely remember him, but what about him? What does it matter?" I looked to Zoo, hoping she could explain, and, to my luck, she could. "Zuri loved Marco! He was just like her brother to her. I have so many wonderful memories with him. I remember now. Marco meant everything to Zuri." Zoo suddenly turned to me and gave me another hug. "Thank you so much for reminding me." Okay, yes, she loved him. But what does that matter now? Zeb crossed his arms. "We don't really have anywhere to go, right? Our family is dead as far as we know because her parents were in the car too, but he wasn't in the car. He loves Zuri too, so he's probably devastated that Zuri's dead. But she's not, because we're here. We should find him," Zoo cheered. "Find him?" Zeb repeated doubtfully. I nodded as Zoo continued. "Of course! He'd be so happy to see us, and it's really the only place we have left to go." Zeb looked from Zoo to me and sighed. "Is that really what you want?" "We don't have a better option right now," Zoo pointed out. Zeb peeked out the grass again before turning back to us. "Do either of you remember where he lives?" I raised the hand that I still had. Zeb sighed in annoyance. "Zoo, do you remember?" Zoo shook her head. "Fine. Z, you better get this right." He moved the tall grass out of my way. "Lead on." I hope you all enjoyed part 1 of Live On in 3. The drawing style for this is a little bit different than what I usually do. I didn't do line art, and I actually kept part of the base sketch visible because I kind of wanted it to make it seem a little bit more sketchy and not as, I guess, clean as I usually do. I did it differently, tried something else, and I'm actually quite happy with how it looks. I hope you all enjoyed the story as well. I'm working really hard on it, and I'm enjoying it. This is a version of Speedpaint Stories, so thought I'd actually do lore versions of Speedpaint Stories as well. And I hope you all enjoy it, because I do plan to do a part 2 as well, because I'm not just going to leave the story here. How many parts there are going to be is undetermined, but we'll see. Hope you all enjoyed part 1, and I hope you all have an amazing week, everyone. Goodbye!